Backstory: I, female 61, am a solo pet sitter and dog walker. In 2020, no one could travel and we're working from home, so I was unemployed. One kennel closed. Two of the local veterinary businesses all stopped boarding. In 2021, things opened up for travel. My old clients started asking for service. Tons of new requests. Since 2021, my wonderful brother-in-law, 56, had been dealing with a disease. However, recently he died very suddenly, dropped dead in the street within view of his own house. Very traumatic for my sister, female 59. There was a gathering at the house the following evening. I met my sister, she told me everything. We cried and hugged for a long time. I was devastated for her. Problem: I was told the services would be on Tuesday at 11 a.m. The church is 40 minutes away from my service area, and I was massively overbooked. Several of the dogs I walk are reactive. I contacted other pet sitters to see if anyone could cover. They were overbooked too. I told my sister all this, and that I would get there as soon as possible. I could tell her reaction was shock, as I told her I wouldn't make the service. I had informed my elderly mother of the situation. I had also told my adult sons who were going to be at the funeral. I prepared all my clients and let them know I was doing quick let-outs and short walks. I watched the service on Zoom between let-outs, got there by 1 p.m. I hugged my sister and talked to a couple of other people. I didn't think too much of it at the time. What I realized now was a chilly reception, which I took for shock and grief. So later that same day, I got a call from my mother telling me that right after the church service, my sister was angry and livid that I wasn't there. My mother tried to explain it to her again, but she didn't have it. She's not spoken to me since, with the exception of some brief communications about my mother's health. My mother suggested therapy, and I was perfectly willing to go. Sis could yell at me all she wanted. She refused. I tried to call and message many times, but none of my calls or messages were ever returned. I gave up and decided to go to therapy myself. It was great for understanding what she was going through. The therapist pointed out that my sister not only lost her husband under traumatic circumstances, but that he was the main income, so she's facing financial difficulties. Also pointed out that part of the grieving process, anger, is sometimes misplaced, and that it was far easier to be angry with me rather than at God or my late brother-in-law. I'm angry. It's hurting my mom, who's 87, and feels like she's in the middle. She has just us two and 5 grandsons. Am I the idiot for missing my brother-in-law's funeral service? You are the idiot, honestly. It's wild that you're even questioning it. Here's the thing. Your sister just lost her husband suddenly and traumatically, and your priority was dog walking? You couldn't manage to rearrange your schedule for a single day to show up for her in one of the worst moments of her life? Look, we all understand that work can be overwhelming, but this was your brother-in-law's funeral, not some casual get-together. The fact that you couldn't prioritize your sister and family over your client's dog is honestly mind-blowing. OP, I'm completely perplexed why you couldn't just tell your clients there was a death in the family. Then they would have needed to make other arrangements. That's what happens in an emergency, and all you can say is, I was busy? That's beyond tone deaf. I'm trying to wrap my head around how you'd ever think this was okay. Yeah, I'm just sitting here imagining my sister's face if I told her I missed her husband's funeral for dog walking. Brutal. Stop hiding behind your job like it's some sacred responsibility no one could possibly understand. You chose to prioritize animals over your sister's traumatic loss, and now you're facing the consequences of that choice. So here's the deal. I, 28 female, am getting married next month, and I'm super excited. I've been planning this day for what feels like forever. My fiance and I have chosen a beautiful venue, dressed up the decorations, and yes, we've ordered a stunning 3-tiered chocolate cake that'll be the centerpiece of the reception. Now, my younger brother, 24, is a radical vegan. He's always been over the top about his dietary choices, which is fine. But recently, he started condemning anyone who eats animal products. He even goes around preaching about how sugar is just as bad and calling traditional recipes murderous. Last week, he called me on the phone and freaked out about the cake, saying it would be a disgrace to celebrate a love that advocates the oppression of animals. I was totally taken aback. After a few days of deliberation, I decided to uninvite him from my wedding. I told him I wouldn't tolerate any negativity or judgment on what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. I want to eat my cake in peace. My parents are furious and say that I'm being unreasonable. But honestly, I feel like he crossed the line. It's my wedding day. Am I the idiot for protecting my celebration from his views? He's just complaining all the time, and no, he's not going to fund a special cake since I ordered a murder cake. Not the idiot, but I don't get what he's expecting. It's a wedding. There will be cake or some kind of dessert, and being vegan and sugar-free would be a monstrous expense. Plus, it would taste terrible and be very hard to find a baker who can do it well, and they can charge whatever they want to at that point because it's such a specialized need. You can spin this to make it sound like you're keeping the peace in the family. Tell your parents you're trying to do the right thing for your brother. You realized how thoughtless it was to invite him to an event where he would be subjected to seeing a murder cake. So you withdrew the invitation out of respect for his beliefs. After all, you wouldn't want to cause friction in the family by putting him in such a position. Hilarious. OP, please do it. This is called screw around and find out. He's perfectly free to arrange a vegan wedding when his turn comes, but he has no right to disrespect other people's dietary choices. Usually when vegans tell me I eat corpses, I answer that I prefer that to eating animals alive. Congratulations on your upcoming wedding. I co-parent my kindergarten-age son with his father. His father grew up in a conservative religious household, but no longer practices as an adult. Yesterday, I was painting my nails as I usually do while our son was watching the movie Cars, a new recent love of his. He was curious and asked what I was doing. I explained I was putting red nail polish on my nails. He asked if he could have some too, and I didn't think twice. I just swiped the red nail color on. He was instantly overjoyed to have red on him, like Lightning McQueen. He was so happy and excited and wanted to show his daddy and his friends at school tomorrow. I texted a picture to his dad and asked if he could wear the nail polish to school for one day to show his friends. His dad responded, "No, take it off immediately. We need to show him that some things are for boys and others are just for girls." I told him I didn't agree that this was a big deal, but would take off the nail polish, and that if he had strong feelings about this, we should talk in person and not over text. I worked in a school setting for 4 years and saw many male teachers and students with nail polish. I let his dad know that nail polish is normalized between all genders nowadays. He accused me of influencing our son and asked if I was going to refer to our son as non-binary. I let him know I felt this was being blown out of proportion. Am I the idiot? He and I are meeting this week. We have had a contentious co-parenting relationship in the past and are struggling to regain trust. I regret ever doing this because it feels like we're going backwards again now. But at the same time, I didn't see an issue. It doesn't hurt our son or anybody else. And I want to stand my ground by not having him feel like he can dictate rules in my house, which he's tried to do before. What does putting a tiny dab of nail polish have to do with being non-binary? Your ex is going to raise your son in a toxic environment. I would be steadfast in telling your son that nail polish is for anyone and telling your ex you refuse to lie and say otherwise because he has some weirdness and gender insecurity. Yeah, nail painting is pretty common across genders. Manicures too. You're probably going to face many gender-biased stereotypes with your ex. What if he wants a pink shirt or to learn how to cook? I'd assume things are already strained since you said you felt the need to ask for permission for a temporary cosmetic change. Not the idiot, but there will be many battles like this in the future. A bit of a backstory. My husband and I have been together for 4 years and married for 1.5. His mother-in-law has never liked me, and she can't explain why, even after I asked her. The smallest of things will set her off, like when I was pregnant and the food she made triggered some nausea. She almost went crazy. We've been living with them for about a year now, and it's been a nightmare year so far. In the past, she's made house rules to suit her, and when we played along with the rules, she would get upset. My father-in-law works overseas, and he comes home every few weeks. She doesn't clean the house before he comes home, and I mean their living area and their bedroom. When he's here, she doesn't wash his clothes or hang them. We had a rule in the house, her idea, that 3 times a week she makes food, and then the rest of the week it's me. And when you make food, you have to clean the kitchen. During the 3 days she makes food, she leaves the dishes in the sink until the morning of my day, or she asks my husband to clean the dishes before I start cooking. After a while, she stopped doing the dishes on her nights, and my hubby and I had to clean the kitchen daily. I talked to her about it because she asked us to clean before her days began, and we agreed to keep to the house rule. Father-in-law's last rotation came around, and he's home for good. They don't really talk to each other, or even eat dinner together. On a grocery run I made with her, she told me that father-in-law is very unhappy with her because the house is always messy and she doesn't do his laundry. But she told him that she will not be his cleaner and he can do it himself. The newest thing and the final straw for me was she started a diet recently and decided that she'd only be making food for herself and I needed to make food for the rest of the house. She will only be cleaning her own dishes, but she never does. She would leave her dishes in the sink until my hubby washed them, or she would pick out her things from the full sink and wash them. I decided that I would start doing the same thing, as I'm not the wife of the house. I started only cleaning my things and hubby's things, and I could see it really bothered her. Then she started leaving all her dishes on the drying rack for days, until I asked her to pack them away. During the day, I would be the one that offers to make my father-in-law a cup of coffee or something to eat, as she just makes for herself. A few nights ago, she complained about something my father-in-law did, and I guess I just snapped. I told her that she was a bad housewife because her job was to take care of her husband, and she refused to do that. Everything and everyone was silent for a few minutes, and she just left the kitchen. So, am I the idiot? Edit. We co-own the land and the house. It's not my idea to live with her, but I can't change that now. I think she should get a job to pay for her own things. Why should she live off father-in-law's paycheck, but she can't make him a sandwich while she's making one for her? Yikes! Is your father-in-law not able to take care of himself? If not, why would it be your mother-in-law's responsibility? Father-in-law's a grown man. He can't care for himself. Stop putting your father-in-law in the middle of your fights. This is not your issue here, yet you make it about him. You are the idiot. If you don't like how she runs her house, move out. This is a crazy take to me. Father-in-law's working and mother-in-law isn't. She should be doing more than cooking for only herself and not cleaning. If their arrangement is literally, I make the money and pay all expenses, you take care of the house and don't have to seek employment, then it's absolutely her job. You shouldn't agree to become a stay-at-home wife if you don't want to be a housewife. Father-in-law has every reason to be irritated by the state of the relationship and the fact that she doesn't contribute to the home. People with the financial ability to live a traditional relationship choose to do so all the time. They often are happier that way than the modern way. It's their choice, and there is objectively nothing wrong with living that way. Also, OP co-owns the house with the in-laws. Terrible arrangement, but she has every right to be there. I disagree. You can sell the house and land back to them and move out. That was a stupid decision, but it's not irreversible. Jesus, OP, your self-righteous superiority is palpable. Just cut the crap, why don't you? You don't like your mother-in-law. You think she doesn't work as hard as you. You called her out in front of your father-in-law to prove what a good, dedicated little wifey you are. Sell your half and move out. Why spend so much time and energy trying to make each other miserable? It's gross. And your sexism is so obvious. Ugh, you are the idiot. 2 years ago, my parents' marriage ended because my mom found out Dad was cheating and had another woman pregnant. My sisters and I, nearly adult male, teen female, and young teen female, wanted nothing to do with Dad afterward, and he wasn't given any formal custody. We had a decision to make if we wanted to see him. We didn't. He had a daughter with the other woman a year ago. Now their daughter was taken by CPS and is currently sitting in foster care. My grandparents, Dad's parents, want my mom to raise her, so we'll know her, and so she'll have us growing up. Mom said no. At the same time, they were trying to pressure us to accept visits with her, so she'd know us anyway, but my sisters and I weren't interested. My guess is they want us to meet her, so we'll ask Mom to raise her. Mom did get a call and was asked if she would take her by a social worker, but her no was the last contact we had with the social worker. We only had contact once before that, when we and she was asked if visits between us and the girl were wanted. They weren't. My mom tries to keep my sisters and me out of it, but I've heard her lose her cool and answer the phone to tell my grandparents to leave her alone. I also heard my grandparents call her names and remind her over and over that my sisters and I are related to this girl and Mom should want us to know each other and be close. I heard Mom crying the other night, so I called my grandparents and told them to leave my mom alone. They tried to defend themselves, but I told them to stop. I brought up them calling my mom cruel earlier that day, and I asked them how they could be so cruel. I asked why they didn't take their granddaughter and why they wanted her to be somewhere where she wasn't wanted, loved, or cared about. They spluttered over the phone, but I didn't let them really speak, and I told them that's exactly what they're trying to set her up for, and it's not good. I told them that none of us want her or want a relationship, and they're the cruel ones, trying to force her in here anyway. They went crazy yesterday over what I said. Mom finally blocked them, but they're also trying to make themselves heard via social media. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It was very courageous of you to stand up for your mom. She's raising an amazing young man. You are absolutely right. They are cruel, and this is especially mean, considering this is your dad's affair child. They need to focus on their own child, your dad, and help him get the help he needs since he lost custody of his child. I agree. They know he won't do anything and are passing the issue on to your mom. Imagine plastering over social media that your son's ex-wife won't take his child and not being ashamed that his child has been literally taken away from him. If you want to go scorched earth, don't let them control the social media narrative. Call them bad parents for raising a cheater. Call them bad ex-parent-in-laws for supporting a cheater and harassing their grandkid's mom, and call them bad grandparents for not stepping up to support their affair grandkid.